Hi, welcome to the day 8 closing vlog. I'm going to do things a little differently tonight. In addition to talking a little bit about what we did today, I'm going to answer two questions that I've gotten. The first is, what are my favorite things to bring to North Carolina for these trips? And the second is, what do families talk about when they are here together for the trial or for screening or for visiting the hospital? What do we all talk about? So just a little about our day. We woke up this morning and went again to Foster's Market for brunch, which is in Durham and one of our favorite places. We basically did a lot of what we did on Saturday, which was go there for brunch and then went to Pullen Park in Raleigh. But today was such a beautiful day. We got to play on the playground equipment and, well, not me, but we rode the train there. They have a wonderful train. We rode it twice, in fact, and rode the carousel. And Case loved that. So it got a lot of energy out. It was a lot of fun in anticipation of being in the hospital for the next few days. So we also, after that, went to the aquatic center again and swam in the warm water therapy pool. The only problem today was that my phone also decided to take a little dip. It was in a life-proof case, which has worked wonderfully until now, and they're waterproof. Until today, it decided not to be waterproof. So now my phone has been shaken. It's been swung with centrifugal force in a sock. It has been blown dry, and now it is sitting in crystal kitty litter overnight in hopes that we can revive it. So say a quick prayer for my phone that it will revive at some point over the next 2 days in the hospital. So on to the first question. What are my favorite things to bring here to North Carolina for these trips? Now, I didn't always have to bring these things. For the first almost 4 years, we came here every month. And especially the first 7 months, it was 9 days a month. So it was a lot of stuff to try to bring. So what we did was keep a bin here at the hotel. The hotel let us do that. There weren't that many of us at the beginning. So we had things in that like toys, coffee mugs, condiments that you didn't have to buy every time, spices, things like that. So it was really handy to have. But now, since we've been getting dosed at our home hospital for the last around 6 months, we have gotten rid of that since we're not here very often and bring our own stuff. So here's some of my favorite things that I used to either keep in the bin or that we bring now. And I think what's helpful about this, not only for our trial, for any clinical trial that people are in, you have to really make it feel like home in a lot of ways for you and for your child. You have to make it not only feel, homey, but also be even extra fun because there are so many negatives in their life that have to happen here in terms of blood draws and anesthesias and things like that. We really work at trying to make it extra fun. But it also needs to be extra fun for the stressed parents that are in and out of the hospital. So I always bring or have a coffee mug from home. It makes me just feel like I'm sitting at my house. So this is Puckett's in Nashville that we love, and it's a nice, sturdy, bigger coffee mug than they have here. I also have come to be bringing a copper mug, which is my favorite mug for cold drinks. So we've got hot drinks, cold drinks. And then, of course, I always bring a travel coffee mug. Now, interestingly enough, this is not mine. This is borrowed from my mother-in-law because my coffee mug was left at the hospital last week. And if I could say something you have to get used to in the trials, just to be flexible, because you just have so much stuff to keep track of in the hotel, to the hospital and back, and the plane, and you just lose things. And, I've gone through so many coffee travel mugs. I've gone through so many pairs of slippers. Actual entire reams of DVDs were lost with 20 to 30 DVDs in it. But you know what? You just have to roll with it. So travel coffee mug, hugely helpful. Also, one of my favorite things is sea salt soap that my friend Sarah got me. And it just gives you that little extra thing like you're feeling at home, when you have to be in a hotel bathroom. Also, my favorite, I love, spa things. I'm a girl. My rosemary mint salt scrub. A friend of mine found this for me in Savannah, Georgia. So I started using that. Another good thing to have while you're here are things that help you get a good night's sleep. So, and just to note, I don't get anything from any of these people I've been promoting on here. These are just my favorite things. I always bring earplugs. So these are ones that are extremely high volume. So I always bring an entire box for everybody else who comes with me in case they need them. Also, an eye cover while you're in bed, especially when you're in the short stay because there's lights overhead and it's very difficult to sleep in there sometimes. So I just use like a headband because it stays on easier than those little eye things with the stuff, Let's see, what else? Chapstick. My favorite chapstick, Rodan and Fields. I use that in the hospital all the time because you're just in dry air or you might be stressed or nervous. And so chapstick, I just keep it in my pocket all the time. Dry shampoo. Women, I'm telling you, when you're getting up super early to go to the hospital, instead of jumping in the shower and you're waking your child up who's in the same room or the next room, dry shampoo is my favorite thing ever. So those are kind of my things. But Case has to have a lot of special things too. So we bring toys and things like that. But sometimes we need hospital things too. So we bring our own pulse ox, which I found one that's at least the fastest that I know of. And I use that for infusion at home too. And this as well, we have our own head thermometer that's really accurate and we love it. We just kind of carry that everywhere because now the hospital has switched to forehead thermometers and the easier pulse oxes, but back at the beginning of the trial 4 years ago, they didn't use those, so we would always have our own. Another thing is there's a toy called a Gertie ball that a friend of mine turned on to. It's great to bring on trips because you just put it in your suitcase like this, and it's real tacky, so it's very easy to catch. But the greatest thing is you just go like this. It has this little straw. And you blow it up in like 2 seconds, and then your kid has a ball to play with. So it's fantastic for bringing to the hotel and having here. Another thing is this basketball hoop back here. It flattens up, the rim flattens up. I just got it at Target. And yeah, not a good shot. You can see Case is the one that plays with that. So we put that, it goes on a door, or we put it on the luggage cart, and then he has basketball to play here all the time. So those are my favorite things to bring to Chapel Hill for the trial. Hopefully that might be helpful to someone. Second, I was going to talk about what do the families talk about when we see each other, because I will tell you on this trip, I probably in the end will have seen 6 families, I think, while I've been here. And at the beginning of the trial, at any given time, there were often 4 families here. We would have cookouts together and really just give each other support in a lot of ways. But what do we talk about? Well, I would say you could kind of lump it into a couple categories. We talk, of course, about MPS-related things. And then we also talk about non-MPS things. But even in MPS, we talk about things related to the trial and things just related to, MPS life. So, about the trial, we talk about things we might be seeing with our kids, whether there's, port issues going on, which happened a lot in the first trial, just the logistics of how we're making this work at home with our unaffected kids and school and who's coming with us and things like that. We talk about things related to the hotel, what are the best rooms in the hotel. So funny enough, there's a certain group of 2-bedroom rooms in the hotel, and one set are smaller and have fewer beds and a small family room, but it has an oven. And then the other set of rooms are much bigger, but they don't have an oven. So it's always a joke as to, do you want an 09 room or a 29 room? And are you going to get the first floor, which everybody covets the first floor, or the second floor, and then you have to worry about people complaining because your MPS child is jumping up and down at 9 o'clock at night. So things related to the hotel. We talk about antibodies, which are a huge issue in our community right now. We talk about sometimes the long-term view of this. What do we see, as our kids' future? And I think that the hard part about that is, you didn't really want to talk about the future before the trial. It's a hard topic. I mean, some of it you have to prepare for and think about, but now I think we're a little more open to talking about the future, but it's still just something we don't know, and we have hopes, but nothing we can count on. Friends and I talked last night, and we said, I said I hope for the best, but I prepare for the worst. So that's what we have to do. We talk about cognitive testing and what's good and what's bad about that. We talk about the logistics here with how things work. Sometimes people are coming into screen and they want to understand, well, how do I have these appointments and how do I get from here to here, and how would I do this if my child got in? So it's just, supporting each other in ways like that. And, especially we talk about things totally unrelated to the trial, but are very MPS specific. Our kids and their IEPs, it's a huge issue for how we get them the most appropriate school and finding out what other kids are doing to make their education work better for them, or what type of school they're in, or do they have an aide. We talk about home infusions and how that's working. What kind of pump do you have, and when do you do them, and do you have a nurse, and things like that. We talk about equipment, so like wheelchairs and other types of equipment. We talk about the conferences, the MPS conferences, and who's going. We talk about fundraising and toys that our kids have, or what might work for them. And then, there's lots of MPS stuff, but at some point, these friends start as your MPS friends. That's really what a lot of us call them at the beginning when you're diagnosed, because you really don't have an understanding that this is now for the rest of your life and affects almost every area of your life. So they start out as MPS friends. And over time, and over the course of really getting to know everybody and seeing each other more and more, they just become your friends. And of course, you talk about all the other things that friends talk about. We're building a house and just found out that other friends of ours are going to build a house. And so we're talking about, what are you doing in your house? And of course, that implicates MPS as well. We can never divorce ourselves from it because it affects, is it handicapped accessible? How wide are your doorways? Are you putting in a ramp? What floor is your child's bedroom going to be on? Those things. We talk about how we're doing with our unaffected kids, not just related to MPS, but what are they doing now? Are they playing sports? And what are they up to? We talk about work, things like that, where we go on vacations, and of course that implicates MPS as well, because what's going to work for our kids might be different than for someone else. So those are the kind of things we talk about, and that's why it's so wonderful to get together with other families when we're here, because we all know each other in different ways, I think, than other friends that we have. It's just a different type of friendship, not a better or a worse. It's just different, and it's wonderful to sit around with people that you've formed a history with over the last 4 years, and catch up and see what everybody's up to. So those were the 2 questions I got. Feel free to submit some more questions. Tomorrow we're going to have a very special guest on our closing day vlog, so be sure to tune in tomorrow for day 9.